welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your herd leader, John Wayne.
And I'm your herd mom, Megan.
And if you are watching this, which most people don't, and that's okay, but if you're watching this, obviously this looks different than normal Nerd Herder YouTube episodes. Although we've always put our main show out there, we're hoping more people watch it because we're doing something different, um, something new with the new recording equipment that we've got, and that made all kinds of possibilities open up. And so while we love our podcast people, we hope at least people will check it out and let us know if they like it or not. You can see our beautiful faces. You can see plenty of random objects behind us, also some weeb LED lights in the background. We've got it all.
Yeah, we become streamers.
We're not trying to push people to listen exclusively on YouTube, or we're not trying to steal podcast people to YouTube. We're just doing something new
Yeah.
because we want to and we can. And so, but the recording equipment helps the audio as well. So hopefully everyone's enjoying it on that side. It promises to be fun and whatnot. And so just trying to improve and whatnot. Patrons make it possible. So thank you to our patrons and also our patrons' patience because they put up with us for some reason and they pay for it.
Yeah.
Most would call that masochism, but we are grateful for it. So Doug, Jim, Rebecca, thank you so much. And I can look, if you're watching, I know Jim's watching this, so I can look you in your soul and say that. And so that's wonderful. So
Hi, Jim.
now, no planned visuals for this one, but obviously come back here on whatever day it ends up going out that we put out our Halo episode. Because I always have visual aids because I know my class. I know my room, and so I know that visuals help stimulate interest and
Very much
retain
so.
attention. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll prove true as well for you all. So, but nonetheless, excited. We will try to remember that we're putting this on both platforms and not make this entirely exclusively a visual experience. But we're obviously mindful of it with cameras pointing us in the face and everything like
Yeah.
that.
I'll
So.
still be making the mouth noise for quotation marks, just but also I'll be doing it physically as well.
Right. So if anything, we're recording audio, we're recording video, and both
Yeah.
are going into the ether.
You get to
Uh,
see my fancy Dragon Ball Z shirt.
there you
There you
go.
go.
So, and I'm very Sith Empire, new Sith Empire, I should say, First Order Sith Empire, with got my Target exclusive Kylo and Sith troopers. Although they never hung out in the movie, I'm disappointed.
No.
But so yeah. Anyway, so we've been talking about the Mandalorian. Everyone on the internet and in the world has actually, well, not everyone,
A lot of
so
people.
many people, because season two is upon us, and I spoke it into existence. And you're welcome. I'm not gonna get thanked for it, but I know I did it, and that's all that matters. Me and Jesus know what happened. So, but I spoke it into existence on the last episode that we would have a trailer to talk about, and we do. We're not going to talk at length necessarily, but it's something. I mean, we've seen it, so it's like it's hard not to now talk about, especially the finale of season one,
Yeah.
without thinking, oh, maybe that one shot in the trailer means this, or who knows, maybe that's that, or blah blah blah, and everything. So, the trailer's hype. The trailer's cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, what did you expect? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Star Wars, it's the Mandalorian. Of course, it was going to be cool, um, but it's always fun when it delivers, when Star Wars delivers like that and everything. And
Yeah.
so we are nearly a month away, which is exciting. So can't wait to, at some point, talk about season two. We're not sure how we'll tackle it. I know it's not on this year's docket. Who knows? We just knew we wanted to talk about season one,
Exactly.
and that's what we're doing. So more than likely, after the first of the year, we'll probably actually tackle it. After we've had plenty of time to marinate in the Mando.
Or maybe next year. We don't know.
Yeah, the new
Sometimes it just
year.
takes a year.
Oh yeah, or
Yeah.
exactly a year from now.
Exactly a year. Yeah.
Gotcha. Who knows? So, but at some point, for sure, you can bet. I mean, we're a Star Wars podcast. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk
We're
about Star Wars.
exactly. We'll get there. So, but we've been talking about season one leading up to season two because we never really got to finish that. And so it's been really fun. So every week on the main show, we've been talking about a group of episodes. We talked about the first three, then the middle three. First three, we all agreed were, I say we all, like there's many of us. We are legion.
There are many of us.
But we agreed first three, banging, awesome, lit. They slap. all those Gen Z phrases. The first three episodes we didn't have anything but good things to say about. But then last week, interestingly, was different. And I don't know
Yeah.
if too many people are used to us having not complaints, but just I mean being meh or
Yeah.
not 100% hype on something.
Well, it's one of those things. Like Star Wars is for everyone. There are different aspects for everyone, like I said, but there's bound to be something that someone doesn't like for, you know, whatever reason. Like I said last week, I'm not a big fan of mean characters.
Sure, I'm not a fan of annoying characters. So I mean, I didn't like the gunslinger one. I think is what it was called or
Yeah,
whatever.
it
I didn't.
had good points,
It did
but
everything
overall,
that wasn't focused on the up and coming kid. It was one of those things where he did well at what his character was supposed to be. Um, I think maybe if he had lived and I had the idea, maybe he'll come back and like be a better adversary or maybe even be redeemed. Like if it had been open ended, I think my brain could have reconciled something
yeah.
and been like, well, maybe it'll be better, in the long run.
Well,
Like certain villains don't pay off until they've been the villain a little while.
yeah, and he just didn't seem like a threat.
No, it was just annoying.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, we're back on the complaint train.
Toro Calican, right, or
Turo
something like that.
Callaghan. Yes,
So
Steel Wars'
yeah,
boyfriend.
I wasn't a fan of him, just because again I thought it was rather annoying.
Hmm.
But uh, I mean, you have similar complaints of some of the characters from the jailbreak episode.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember all of them. I'm tired. Leave me alone. But so I mean, it's tit for tat. I mean, whereas you can go without watching one, I can go without watching another. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoy it all.
Yeah.
And so, but then we move on to the finale, and I think this is where it comes back around to where these are all agreeably 100% good.
Oh yeah, these two episodes are some of the best live action Star Wars.
Yeah, because I mean, really, when it picks up, it's almost like you could have skipped the last three episodes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Even not liking episode five, it would be. Even not liking one of them. I mean, it's due its watch,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, because basically episode three ends off. He's riding off into the sunset with the kid. He's escaped, and now he has his mission of just protecting the kid. You can jump immediately to the next one where Grief is messaging Mando and it's just like, hey, things have kind of gotten crazy, but I have a way to fix it for everybody. Just give the kid to the like, things have happened, but you don't necessarily need to know exactly what.
Yeah, and you miss, although if you do skip, you miss some good character development and a good relationship development, I'll say too.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's interesting in such a short show that they were able to work that in there, in terms of having uh, reasonably passable time. Like you can jump around and not feel bad.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it means that like when you come into the finale of these episodes, although watching the other three are great and add a lot, you don't necessarily you're not missing anything if you do just jump into episode 7 from episode 3.
True.
It definitely adds to have it, but it's not missing. And I just thought that was interesting. It's like, I mean, it's what would be arguably filler, in like anime or something like that, where it's just like this is happening, and parts of it will play in later, but at the same time, if you go to the later, it's also okay.
Yeah, it's like if we didn't have the tournament saga, we wouldn't know what a cool guy Piccolo was.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is why you don't skip Dragon Ball and go straight to Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
Because otherwise, you wouldn't know who half the characters were and
Mm-hmm.
why they were important,
Yeah.
but also just you get
Well, I
to
mean,
see King Piccolo execute.
right. Well, because I mean, reasonably, you can have it so much shorter. It could be a 5 episode series,
Hmm.
but they made it 8. If anything, it's. I mean, you could call it padding if you really don't like it, but I mean, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad um, explanation for it. I mean, if anything, it's just the main story's 5 episodes. It's the first three and then the last two. But there, like you said, there's that added stuff. There's other components that no don't connect to the bigger story necessarily. Now, obviously, you don't have the explanation for Kara exactly, but
Hmm.
I mean, you could almost retcon that yourself in your head or whatnot. I mean, it depends on how much you like the character and everything. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's it's not like a what order do you watch the Mando episodes and all that. I mean, I'm just saying that the majority this reconnects with the bigger story, because having had the last 3 episodes, you see that his life is still crazy because of everything that's happened. Like he's getting hunted, the kid's getting hunted. He tried to get rid of the kid. It's not going to work because they're hunting the kid and him, but not necessarily together.
Yeah.
They're two different scores to settle. So it's this having those other episodes really lays the groundwork for why he would be willing to take the deal of how how can we settle this,
Yeah.
which is kind of the setup for the events of the finale. Is hey, things are worse. You're still getting hunted. Clearly, we have to essentially appease the bad guy. We have to get the client off of our both of our backs, in order to have any reasonable form of happiness. Now, Grief Karga's whole thing is, well, we're just going to take the kid, give him to the Imperials, because then surely they'll leave. They'll have what
Yeah.
they want.
This used to be a wholesome hive of scum and villainy. Now there's Imperials everywhere.
Right. Well, and the thing is, like, it helps Grief's character because he's not necessarily super likable. He's funny in
Yeah.
the beginning, but he's not necessarily super likable. He's no Dylan. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, this really helps bring him around because he's really, I mean, he really is. He's kind of, um, they mentioned that he's like chief magistrate. I don't know if he's of Navarro or just even before that,
Yeah.
but regardless, he has position in this little city. And if business is bad in, Navarro, then business is bad for him. It like he's being negatively affected by the Imperials. And I think that this is one of those things where it's like you can't look the other way like on a job, which
Yeah.
was the whole thing with the Mando. Was he's probably looked the way several times, but now with this kid involved, he can't look the other way. Now Grief himself, he's his kid, his child is the city, and it's like, well, now I can't look the other way because I have no business.
Yeah.
If I have no business, I have no purpose. Like, what kind of existence is this? So he's trying to work out a deal at first that's not necessarily great, but it's almost understandable.
Yeah.
Because from his position, he doesn't know the kid. He's never seen the kid. He's not, looked at the big eyes and like that's the thing is it seems like everybody that encounters the kid turns around.
Yeah. Which
Um,
makes sense. Like, I'm looking at our shelves of Baby Yoda right now, and I'm just like,
right.
yeah, I'd die for
He's
that.
lovingly looking over my shoulder and such. So yeah. So I mean, everyone that has that sort of experience seems to make a choice at a fork in the road and everything, and he just hasn't reached that point. So he's intending to go a certain way and just here's the kid. Can we have our planet back and everything like that? But
Yeah.
that's how the Empire keeps you in their under their boot, though. I would think is they just keep you needing to appease them. Just keep working it off.
Yeah. Well, that's Palpatine and the Empire's entire thing is just like, I'm gonna make it so you can't live without me.
Well, essentially, I mean, they make it so that unfortunately you do kind of need them,
Yeah.
and everything. Which I mean, interesting. Like it, all of this is happening. Blasters, guns, and scum and villainy. But I mean, Palpatine's soul is wandering the ether out there.
Yeah.
Clones are being made, and all. It's interesting now to have all of these. Like at one point in the story, and what these people, not necessarily them, but people of that time, in universe are thinking is, oh, the Empire's gone, the Emperor's dead, all of that. Like for them, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we know from being the readers and viewers and all that, there's this whole other story happening out there somewhere, which is just
Yep.
kind of interesting. Um, I'm glad it doesn't come up here, but it's enough. I mean, again having timelines like, oh, okay, 5 years after this, okay, that's huh. I wonder, what's going on here and what we're, I wonder if Palpatine had a clone yet. And is this part of that? Who knows?
Honestly, probably.
I
He's
mean,
probably getting the test tube ready for Snoke.
I would say it's kind of interesting that Baby Yoda does have very strong force healing powers,
Oh
so,
yeah.
like stronger than we've seen before. So, I mean, it is interesting how that might play into why they want him, whether they are really working for the Emperor or not. And I'm almost wondering, is something like that going to happen? What if the decrepit Emperor finds out there's this Force child out there that heals? You know, I mean, he's going to want it first. There's a lot of possibilities. All of them better than bringing Ahsoka in the story. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate though.
But anyway, so obviously Mando doesn't trust it because why would you?
Of
And
course not.
so he starts building his team of, all right, well, we'll kind of use this to the advantage. So he does go back and find Kara, and she gets the obligatory "I'm a former MMA person" thing. She gets to fight somebody. I think it was MMA, right?
I don't know, man. I don't pay attention.
I don't know. She punched people for a living for a while.
She was an acronym.
Yeah,
Like,
right. So a string of letters. Um, and so he picks her up for the sake of just added muscle, but also just she's got actual wartime experience,
yeah.
which is kind of interesting that he defaults to her in episode 4 as well as here a little bit in terms of combat.
Yeah.
Um, so I think he recognized it's interesting to have a character as cool and idolized as the Mandalorian recognize his shortcomings in that, hey, my experience is in bounties.
Yeah.
Probably not the same thing you saw jumping out of Republic ships and fighting on the front lines and recognizing where your skills end and where someone else's begins and basically being like, "Hey, I need you cuz you're good at this."
Well, that's the point of like having having a balanced team is like one of the most important things for like a storytelling arc because you can't have an entire D&D campaign with just bards.
Mhm.
I'm willing to try though. Can
Won't
you
get a lot
imagine?
done. Um,
No, but we'll have fun.
sure.
But
Fun
yeah,
dying.
you need bards and clerics are support. I
Mhm.
feel like Kuil and Iggy are both support.
Absolutely.
Whereas Kara would be like a fighter. Mando, I'd say, is a ranger or a rogue, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, he can do very close combat
Hmm.
or he can do long range. He's proven that.
And disintegration, so it might be a warlock.
Right. So he's got his versatility, but in terms of strategic combat, and that's the thing is he's used to going after thugs and criminals, not going after full on Imperials.
Hmm.
He might have scuffled with Imperials before, but he's not fought and strategized war against them.
Yeah.
Whereas again, Kara having been part of the Republic teams, being a shock trooper, it's not just oh I fought and shot some Imperials, but it's like no I've come up with battle plans. I've all of like she does outrank him in terms of certain experience to quote Rex and such. So I just thought that was an interesting way to draw her back into the story and everything was not just a oh we need a final great shot with all the cool characters, but like no legitimately she makes sense to be there.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like, it makes sense for Kuil to say no.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so the other thing is they need a babysitter. I mean, we could talk about the whole yogurt, whatever you want to call him, choking out Kara and everything. But you made
That
the
was
you
awesome.
made the point that that's the only thing that needs to be really made. In that, like, yeah, he doesn't know necessarily all the right from wrong.
That's why he needs training.
Right. But I just love that he definitely knows if somebody's hurting Mando or disagreeing with Mando, that's daddy, and you don't do that.
Don't touch daddy.
Um, it's it's interesting how, despite being 50, how childlike he is. And I mean, there's no real point of reference for at what point would someone who could live to be 900 years old
Hmm.
grow out of adolescence? Because it could just be that they mature quickly and then are 900 years old, or like in this case, it seems like maybe it's legitimate. Like maybe 100 years is 10 years to us. Like he could legitimately only be 5.
And like with his mannerisms, I think he's like probably 3.
Yeah, I mean, 3 to 5 makes
Yeah.
sense to me because he's processing. He's clearly understanding. And, but my thing is, he's doing a lot with his powers that doesn't seem like, oops, I like,
I did it
freaked
again.
out. Like it's not so much I got mad and pushed people. It's more of a no, I want to stop the rhinoceros. I want to stop the fire. I want to choke like he's thinking, he's processing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, the only thing that holds back any understanding of his age is he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So he coos like a baby, but he thinks and attempts murder like a full grown Ted Bundy. So maybe not that bad,
No, not that
but
bad.
so so yeah, they recruit Kuil to be the babysitter essentially. Although even though he says no, he still goes with them. But I
Hmm.
think that's just for the sake of the story
Yeah.
because instead of he's got someone more qualified.
Dude, that reveal when we first watched it was so great.
I was so glad because I was so worried we were going to have to go without Iggy ever again.
Exactly.
And I mean, now we kind of do,
Yeah.
but
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't
okay, your
know.
favorite character got cut in half, so technically you have a reason to doubt, but I'm pretty sure Iggy's dead.
Listen, man. I I will always hold out hope for my favorite characters because, like you said, my
Because of
favorite
Darth Vader
character
or Darth Maul.
got cut in half and
Yeah.
survived. Even if he got if even if Obi-Wan had gone for the head, I'm not entirely sure that he wouldn't have
So
still
by that
survived.
logic, Jango Fett's still alive.
There you go.
You heard it here, guys. Nerd Herder said it.
He's living in the helmet like a hermit crab.
Um, to just boogie ahead. I mean, at some point, Grief comes around. He gets hurt. Baby Yoda heals him. I love the whole thing because they find out that like they're like he eats the frog, so they're like, oh, he eats meat, like or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's a carnivore.
And it comes back later because when Baby Yoda goes to heal him, he's like, he's trying to eat me. And I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's
It
so funny.
it's so tense in that moment of like, oh no, there's poison coursing through his veins. He's gonna die. We either need to cut off his arm or something needs to happen.
Right. Which
Like,
again, I mean, that comes from Kara because she's been around many a world
yeah,
with her military career. So, again, a great reason that she's on board. But, this is that moment I was talking about earlier where Grief now has his child moment. And it's like, dang it, I don't want it to die either.
I don't want to care about this, but dang it.
I love that he waits until the climactic point or I should say, I love that the story writers wait until the climactic point to have him turn on the two goons that he had with him.
Yes.
So, because there's this whole, well, I guess this is where it ends. There's this whole dramatic setup, and then he
Yeah.
whips around and shoots the goons instead of Mando and Kara, who are ready to be betrayed. Like they're expecting
Oh
it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's this whole moment of just like, all right, you know what? The baby's cute. Let's figure it out. Like,
And like that's some of my favorite character development for any story is like I'm a bad guy up until this point, and then all of a sudden, dang it, I
right.
care.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Well, I
did you
mean,
give me feelings?
that's such a Star Wars thing, though, is it's the point of, that everybody needs a reason.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think anyone, even someone that's raised to agree with the right side, whatever that might be, like, for instance, okay, Leia,
Hmm.
she has a reason. Why? Bail Organa, who she was raised by. That's her reason.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a reason for why they choose to be who they are and why they choose the path that they choose. Everyone has a point that makes them question it and decide on it. And that's the thing. It's such a Star Wars thing in that no one's born knowing how to do the right thing or knowing what good and bad are or right or wrong. Like we all reach a point where we have to choose though
Yeah.
with what we know and what we've seen, we have to choose. And when we've been shown that we're wrong, we have to choose whether we'll listen and change or whether we'll double down. I mean, so it's such a interest. I mean, every again, Mando had his own. I really think the whole Jawa thing was such a metaphor for that in terms of here I am getting sent on this mission for this random thing, getting beat up for it, and then I bring it back and they just eat it.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't getting some treasure. I wasn't getting something glorious. I was getting something that they were planning to rip apart.
Something that already belonged to him, which is yet again a metaphor for the Beskar, maybe.
Maybe what? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's a good connection. I
You're
mean,
welcome.
well, and then you could even go further. He gets it back and rebuilds, you know, so it's this idea of getting from this exchange what goes into rebuilding him. So he's a
Exactly.
new person after that. So it, lots of metaphor there for sure. So, so Grief has his moment, and it's all about now. All right, how do we trick the client? Um, which they try the whole, oh, the baby's sleeping.
It's so funny. It's so
I
funny.
really don't know what the entirety was.
To get the line, I would like to
I,
see the
well, I
baby.
love that it follows all of this dialogue, and I wish I had specifically had it in front of me to do. But like, he's got all of this imperial Nazi stuff that he's saying,
Yeah.
what system is not made better by the touch of the empire, and all of like,
He's
oh, so
monologuing.
much, yeah. And then I would like to see immediately. I would like to see the baby. Like, it's so crazy to me.
That's why, like, that's why you hire Werner Herzog because he is the German.
Right. And he does such a great job. I don't know. I thought he lived, but I don't know if he does
I don't
because
think so,
he goes to answer a phone and then the place gets shot up.
dude.
I didn't see him leave.
He would be Swiss cheese,
Right. German
which,
cheese. So if anyone smarter than me wants to clarify, I think he's dead. I think Werner Herzog's dead, which sucks because he was such a fun addition.
he was such a great character.
But I mean, such a great thing. Like Gideon calls, and this is such a great introduction in terms of like, do you have it? Yes, it's sleeping. You might want to check. I love because I'm that sarcastic person in terms of,
Yeah.
hey, did you remember your coffee? No, no, you didn't, did you? Like, I'm that person where it's just like I want you to
Yeah.
like see your shortcoming, but I don't shoot people for it.
No,
But that is
thankfully.
a power move.
It is an incredible power move. That's why I hate talking
I
dinosaurs.
love this introduction. I love how they bring him in. I honestly forgot he was in this show.
Oh, dude, you haven't seen Breaking Bad, but
No,
this is 100% in line with his character Gus in
yeah,
Breaking Bad.
yeah. Like they had done so much with the show to this point that I stopped looking for his character. I
Yeah.
stopped trying to guess who he was. It was so well done.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And also, just top notch mustache.
oh yeah, like in general, he pulls off Imperial very well, and um, so essentially they went with an empty basket and sent the baby back with Kuil to the ship, um, with the plan of just like lock it down. We'll
Yeah.
find something. I guess they just wanted a way in to then shoot the client themselves because
I
I
guess
guess they thought
so.
if they killed him, problem solved, right? But
Yeah.
he wasn't even the guy. Although again, I'm curious for answers on the whole hierarchy. I mean, obviously Moff Gideon, powerhouse. He's on top.
He's got a cape. He's on top.
Oh yeah. So you
Cape and a
know,
mustache. That's a heck of a combo when you're an Imperial.
I'm very curious of the rest of the hierarchy and setup and everything like that. But um, ends on a crazy. I mean, they had to pull. Somebody had to die. I mean,
It,
I did not expect it.
I was so upset when we first watched this.
Well, and made the point of like, and this is with not a whole lot. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about 8 episodes overall. I mean, obviously the characters we spend the most time with are Mando and Baby Yoda. Anyone else, we haven't really hung out with that much, more than one
Yeah.
episode at least. Um, so the feelings you get over Kuil, and I think it also hits because it all hits off screen.
Oh, yeah.
I love a well done off screen kill like that in terms of just cut to
The body.
the yeah, the final product, like the end.
Yeah.
Just cut to the remains.
Yeah, because
You
we
don't
can
see
fill
all
in
of
the
it.
story.
Yeah.
We didn't need
Oh
to
yeah.
see all of it.
Yeah. You don't see, but and if anything, it's just you don't like almost. It's almost like watching a car crash makes it make more sense
Yeah.
versus how in the heck did that happen? Like just seeing the end. Like so, it's almost more by being more abrupt. It doesn't give you time to process what's happened, and you're just like, oh my god, what?
Yeah, well, it's like the original version of that is Alderaan. Like you don't have to know who's on Alderaan, to know that it's important to Leia, because her reaction tells you everything you need to know in that moment. Like, her parents are on that
Mm-hmm.
planet. That's where she's from.
Well, when
You
you're
know,
just looking at a planet, it can be very easy to like it's a planet. Like I
there's people
guarantee,
on there.
yeah, you fly up into space and look at Earth, like you're gonna forget there's people there
Yeah,
because it's just so big, and so it's all in about how you present it, and everything. So no, yeah, I mean, it definitely was quite the
yeah.
cliffhanger, for sure.
We didn't even mention Nurse Iggy.
Well, we'll get into it because he shows
Yeah,
up more in episode eight.
he gets the best.
So in episode eight. Yeah, I mean, he basically comes in pretty early on, but
Oh
not
yeah.
after. Like he needs a reason. So obviously, Queel's dead, and the baby is in Imperial hands. Two of the funniest Imperial
Two of the
hands.
best. I don't
Um,
remember who plays
Couple of comedians,
a couple
well
of comedians.
known. I think one of them or both of them is from SNL or something like that. But
Probably.
you can tell they're improv. Like they're just so hilarious. They're just
Yeah.
dudes. Like that just goes to show. But I love all the stuff in it because they're calling, they're just like, hey, we've got the kid, you want us to come? And it's just like, well, hang on, he's working it out, he's talking it over and everything. And then they call back later and it's just like, hey, any word? Do you want us to come with the baby or whatever? And it's just like, well, he just killed a guy for interrupting him, so I think it's going to be like, I just love the
Yeah.
just very casual. um I
And
love
then
that one of
he,
the guys is even just like, what in the heck did he just did they say he just killed a guy?
yeah, he's
What? This is a
probably.
Chili's. Like
Sir, this is a
I did
Wendy's.
not sign up for this. Like he's having this just okay, and it just goes to show how little the grunts know
Yeah,
compared to everything else. Like they just know they serve somebody. They assume, you never know they've never met.
yeah.
So, were you gonna say something?
No, I've completely forgotten what I was about to say. Sorry.
My bad.
You're fine.
So, um, like nurse protocol kicks in because Khalil reprogrammed Iggy. He found him, rebuilt him, reprogrammed, like legitimately taught him
Hmm.
everything,
Yeah, his prime directive has
which
changed.
was such a great little montage in episode 7. Um, and, again, such a Star Wars metaphor thing in terms of you can learn new things, you can change.
Yeah, and something else that I forgot to mention was they keep cutting to Iggy in those weird little moments of like, well, maybe he's bad, maybe he's not.
Yeah, I mean, they try and leave it a little ambiguous. Like, um, because when he calls back to the Mando
Hmm.
to bring him up to speed, he's like, "Wheel has been terminated." It's just like that's not how you break news like that.
No,
It makes you sound very suspicious.
he has no bedside manner.
I mean, I didn't. I don't know if it I don't know if it fooled anybody. I don't know if that was necessarily the intent, but it feels
No.
like they tried to make it a little ambiguous. Although we would have known what happened, so I don't know. He's activated, I guess, when he realizes the kid didn't come home. And so he goes after the the baby, which brings him to the stormtroopers, and he just goes full on Terminator.
Yes, it is such a cool sequence.
Yeah, so it's nice to see him hands on instead of just blasters because we see a lot of that originally. We see more of that later in the episode, so it's nice to see him just get hands on.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need guns to necessarily still be scary.
And then he still uses guns, but at the same time.
Right, yeah, because then like basically he speeds in, um, and takes out a whole bunch of stormtroopers, but then rejoins the crew who have been like locked down in the bar, and like there's so many things that kind of happen in the bar.
So
I
much.
don't really know that. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like a lot's necessary. Um,
Yeah. The essential things that happen are Mando gets shot.
sort of.
Sort of. He gets
So,
hit in the back of the head with something.
well, no, like so when Iggy shows up, they basically take the chance to go full hog and try and shoot their way out, and he's taken out a whole bunch of people, and then Moff Gideon blows up the cannon control that he's using. When that blows up, it's the blowback that gives him his head injury. The whole
Right.
thing is he's got a head injury.
The whole thing is his central processor has been damaged.
Yeah, I love that little line.
You
I
mean
I
my
feel like he
brain?
has to know what he's.
Yeah.
I think Iggy has to know what a brain is.
Oh, yeah. Well, he even says afterwards, that was a joke.
Right. I was trying to put you at ease, and um, so yeah, he gets damaged in battle while they're also trying to figure out how to escape. And his whole thing is to get to the covert, link up with the Mandos, and then surely that will help.
Yeah.
Um, but in there, he sends everyone else out. But because Iggy's a nurse now, he helps. There's a couple of times Mando's just like, "No, leave me,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Dude,
He,
it's not that serious."
it's one of those things like, gets paper cut, leave me to die.
Right? I'm just like, you're just looking for reasons, dude. Calm
And,
down.
like, he wants to be honorable so bad. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that for his character. But at the same time, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I mean, if anything, I wish that at least in the initial, like, oh, I'm wounded, I wish they would have done a little bit more to really convey it
Yeah.
because it's fixed so quickly. Like, it's the thing that makes Bacta such a laugh. Like, oh, just put Bacta on it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like because it makes it seem like that's just the cure all. Like, it's just all better.
Just like rub some lotion on it, put some Vaseline on it, rub some bacon on it. You'll be fine in like 2 minutes.
Right. Whereas, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could have done more or just
Yeah.
bypassed the whole leave me thing and just gone for the whole I don't want you to help me and take off my helmet thing.
Yeah. Like,
Because that's really what we were trying to set up is because they needed to create a scenario where it was just him and the droid so that they could have that great line of like no living things has seen me without my helmet and it's like I am not alive. He has a couple of matter of fact
yeah.
phrases throughout this that I love.
He's such a good character.
So, but it's the one time we really get
Yeah.
to see. I think, and again, we kind of talked about it last time. I don't know, but I think the one time Pedro might have been in the suit, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is.
Possibly.
I mean, it doesn't need to be huge, but it's that final. I didn't expect that. I did not
Yeah.
expect to see Pedro at all.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think that was going to be a season one thing.
No, I think they did a good job of like setting it up to where this isn't gonna happen. You know, you're never gonna see him without his helmet. Oops.
Right. That's not how it works, and then it happens. Um,
It is a good reveal though.
it goes back to again, they didn't need Pedro. I'm glad they got him for the acting part,
Yeah.
but it does bring up the interesting thing of the whole filmmaking of the character and everything's very different
Yeah.
than anything else. I mean, back in the day, it would have been no, you put that helmet on John Wayne. Like if you want John Wayne to be the Mando, that's how you do it. Versus nowadays, where
Yeah.
no, we're gonna get a stunt person to do all the body work.
Yeah. You're gonna get in that suit, Kane Hodder, and you're gonna break your neck.
Right, essentially. So, again, I love this scene. I love the whole removing of the helmet, and moment with him and Iggy. I, I think they should have just stuck with that instead of the no, it's over, just leave me.
Yeah.
Like
Did
I
you
don't know.
think at all that they were gonna leave him?
No,
No, of course not.
and that's my whole thing is I would have I think they could have easily just done a whole just go we'll be right behind like set it up like make it like he doesn't want to be left but like he's encouraging like no go we'll catch up and because maybe he doesn't know
Yeah.
like he could have just turned to the droid and been like how bad is it or something like there's a couple of ways I would have done it differently because of my prolific directing career. No, I mean, again, it just parts that work for me that I think could have been different, but
yeah.
overall, the same things accomplished. I think it just makes more sense that he has the moment of "I can't go with you"
Mm-hmm.
later when they reconnect in the tunnel with the armorer at the covert, where they find out that either the Mandalorians ditched or are killed. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
ambiguous and she doesn't clarify at all
Yeah.
because they basically see this pile of armor, which I think they're trying to say means dead. But he's like, "Did anybody get off world?" And he's like, "Probably."
Probably.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm
We'll
like,
find
that's
out
not
next
an answer.
season.
I mean, I know they needed a reason for the Mandos not to help because they kind of already did that. But I would have preferred the whole like, they once they took off their helmets, we don't know who they are, so that means the Empire doesn't know who they are, and they just went to the winds,
which is fair.
and they'll like this idea of if it's the way, then they'll reconnect. We'll find each other. So
Hmm.
like something like that would have been cool, but like it makes more sense for him to be like, I can't leave like this. Like I can't, we can't let them take our heritage again. Like we've got to do something because that's what the armorer is basically doing.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
she, she makes a good point of turning it back on him though, but
I think a lot of his problem is like, let me be self-sacrificial. Let me do these things. I need to be the hero. I need to do all of this by myself. I need to be the honorable Mandalorian. And then
right,
everyone around him is like, no,
right,
you don't have to. Like, you have friends. You're no
yeah.
longer the lone wolf. Like,
Well, and I think that's the thing that's grown from the beginning to now is he has a team. He's not riding on his own. He like number one, it's enough that he has a kid.
yeah.
It's no longer for himself, but even more than that, by having Kara and Grief and Iggy and Kuil, he's got this little ragtag group now. There's no reason he has to do anything alone anymore,
Exactly.
and that's growth. So the armorer gets a great scene because of all of that and everything. But again, it's left
She
ambiguous.
did.
It's very confirmed. I think her actress has said that she's back on season two because we don't see her die here. I mean, you would not waste a great character like that. I think
Absolutely not.
so. I'm pretty sure she just kind of cleans up, and I'm sure she comes back in later, maybe with a new covert. Maybe we get Heavy Mando and a couple of others back again and everything. I feel like I know it's the Mandalorian show, but I feel like we've got to have more.
Oh,
Like I feel
yeah.
like that has to grow.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what a lot of people think that Sasha Banks is going to be in season two. Is like, what if she's Sabine? Or like, what if she's another Mandalorian? Something like
could
that.
be. I mean, they've kind of in canon nowadays set up this idea of. So far, we've seen two very prominent ethnicities. We see Asian and we see very European white. So, like Satine and Olmec are very, very white posterity. Like they're in the ivory towers of Mandalore, and then you've got some of these lower clans like Rin. Sabine's Asian and heritage for everything they seem to set up and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so I see a lot of interesting lore there because I mean Pedro Pascal obviously not white, and I love this idea. I kind of hope that he's actually Mandalorian. Like I know they do this, like they give all this backstory, and it's very cool, very awesome. I
Yeah.
love the whole scene. I mean, we could talk a lot about that because we love I mean, the reveal of Death Watch and just all the. It's just such a good
Yes.
scene. But there's this idea of like I'm not Mandalorian, it's a creed and all this other stuff. But I kind of like the idea that it turns out he's actually Mandalorian.
That would be
Like he's
cool.
actually legit. His birth certificate just got burned or something, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
I hold out hope. I like my Mandalorians with ethnicity, though. I will say I don't like. I mean, obviously we have Satine from it and everything like that, but
Mm-hmm. Personally, I like my Mandalorians, Maldalorians,
true.
but that's just
That's all
me.
the white ones.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean
like
from
Darth
everything we
Maul.
see, because we've got Gar Saxon, pre Vizsla for a little bit. Um,
Yeah, but
you
then he
know,
was murdered.
I mean, I would like a little bit of an explanation because I mean I know that to be Mandalorian as a creed, does that only apply to the warriors? Because it only seems like certain clans and warriors are where you see the diversity. It
Yeah.
it versus when you see Mandalore in the Clone Wars, it's pretty obvious like this like through intermarrying and just people that have lived there for so many years, you've got a type.
Mm-hmm.
Like Clone Wars Mandalore is white, very white.
Yeah, blonde
It,
hair, blue eyed, white.
it's not until Rebels that we start to see the diversity kind of appear.
Yeah.
And I think here now is reinforcing that a little bit. And so I kind of would love to see a little bit more Mando lore in season two. That was not on purpose,
It was on
but
purpose.
nonetheless, definitely hope for it because this
Yeah,
leaves it open
definitely.
ended to be possible. Um, big sacrifice moment because we haven't had enough sadness in all of this.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Fairy.
Oh, so his name is Fairy now.
I think his name is Fairy. On Wikipedia, his name is Fairy Droid.
I said his name is Fairy. I'm not saying Wikipedia said it. I'm saying his name is Fairy.
You said
You said
Chiron first.
because you said Styx, and I'm like, that's stupid. Styx is the river, not the boatman.
Yeah, but it's a dope metal name
Yes, but it's
for
not
a
accurate.
droid
But it's not
that
accurate.
rolls on lava.
Yeah, but it's not accurate.
It's cool though.
He'd be Karen. But if we want to be fun about it, his name is Fairy.
Yeah, his name is Fairy. Like,
Astromech with legs boy on the boat is what we're
he's
talking
got.
about.
Not only does he have legs, but he has arms and legs.
Yes.
I love.
He's a boatman.
I love droids that have appendages.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Like, I love Chopper's little arms. I love BB-8 and his thumbs up. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much about droids.
It humanizes them.
Exactly.
So yeah, they basically get to the. I mean, Navarro's been shown before to be very volcanic, rocky. It's not exactly green.
Yeah.
And so there's this lava river that runs out from the sewers. I guess, which is not the sewers technically. I guess it's just tunnels. So they're like, oh, we'll take that, and that'll get us outside the city.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think they kind of should have known the Empire would know about that, because it seems like that's the only way to go from there.
Yeah, that
I'm not saying we saw the
doesn't make
whole
sense.
tunnel system, but I'm pretty sure that explains why the Empire would be there.
It's like in Mario, where it's like, that's a pipe, that's gonna lead somewhere, and they're probably gonna come out of it, so I'm not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna wait here.
Right, just stay there. I don't know.
Exactly. There's a piranha plant coming out of it. That's probably where
Well,
he's gonna come
I
from.
thought they were in a pretty good setup in the tunnels, because they could only send so many troops down there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean, they could have
did that in
nuked
Clone
it. Like, they could
Wars.
have done a bomb down there or something. What?
They did that in the Clone Wars, and like they found him in like.
So they
2
did the
minutes.
Seven Samurai episode in the Clone Wars too. They could have done something and spiced it up. I don't know, but then we wouldn't have got a great Terminator-esque sacrifice scene, which is the whole emphasis of the robot. Anytime a robot and lava come in contact, it's a reference. It has to be.
A reference. Like, there was no thumbs up because he didn't have thumbs. He has
But
clampers.
I love the line of, "Tell me that the child will be safe in your care, and I can default to secondary protocol." I just love the, "Tell me it'll be okay, and I can do this."
Yeah. It's so.
I'm
awesome.
gonna go on record. Harder than Kuil. Like, I'm sorry. Like that initial cliffhanger of Kuil, big, but like getting the dialogue and getting this whole moment between Mando and just this other stuff, and it's just like, you know, I've never been alive. There's no reason to be sad. I'm not sad. Yes, you are. I've analyzed your. Like, I just love all of it. So much of it.
There was also a line earlier that I forgot to talk about where I love that the one female character in the show is not like inherently motherly, because Iggy hands the baby to Kara and she's like, "I don't do babies."
Yeah.
Which is fair, because like a lot of women don't do babies.
Right. Well, it's not everybody's thing. Not everybody comes with that information downloaded. Like, totally fair.
Not everyone wants to be a mom.
So yeah, so like I really hated it, because again it was having to say goodbye to Iggy again, but I thought this was a much better way to go. This very self-sacrificing, this, I mean, this is the humanizing moment. That's the whole reason that the Terminator sacrifices himself. Yes, you can say it's protocol. I can't let this fall into enemy hands. I have to be destroyed, but I can't self-terminate. Like, you can make it protocol stuff.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's doing it out of the good of others. Like, if I continue to exist, more Terminators will come.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I need you to take care of it. Like, it's a humanizing moment for a droid, which could be, and for some people, overdone. I think this is well done. I loved it.
You know what movie does that very well? iRobot.
Yeah.
With Alan Tudyk. Like, the moment where she's about to deactivate him and he's like, "Will it hurt?"
Oh yeah. There's a lot in iRobot that I love.
Just Alan Tudyk in general, just running around in pajamas.
It's a great movie. It's a very, very, very good movie.
Oh yeah.
So, and we finally get payoff of the self-destruct.
Yes.
Again, kind of bittersweet, but he finally got to whip that one out. So, and I like that helps. I mean, that not only helps them escape, but that levels the playing field. All that's left is Gideon,
Mm-hmm.
and we get a great showdown, because
Do the wavy
I
hand
couldn't.
thing,
I couldn't.
baby.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine anything else. Like if I had to think about it, I don't know what would have been cooler.
A
Like
freaking
what?
TIE
We've already
fighter.
had a shootout. We've already had a droid blow up. We've had so much already happen. This is yeah. This is like we've never seen this. We
And
have
then,
never seen this.
after that, which we will talk more about, the even better reveal.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, basically, Gideon's running around in a Tie Fighter, and
yeah.
Mando has to take it down there, which is the payoff of him getting the jetpack.
And then immediately just, like, breaking
Oh yeah.
it. As is the Mandalorian way.
Right.
I'll be honest with you.
Well, not
Mando and the
breaking it, but
jetpack.
definitely it does. It's not
It's not effective.
right. Well, because he basically just knew how to go up, so
Which is fair.
which is good enough in this case.
Which
Because
is why she said when he's ready, you'll start your training.
yeah. Well, I love they build the lore in dialogue like that because she talks about have you trained in the Rising Phoenix? What? But then she presents the thing like, and it's like it will not listen to like. There's
Yeah.
this interesting lore being built in terms of they view all of this like their technology, their tools, their weapons. They view all of it as
Mm-hmm.
very almost Navi like. It's alive. Like you recognize that yes, it's a tool, but it's not meant to be just welded. It's not meant to be just willy nilly.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn it, and therefore you have to almost acknowledge a level of sentience in terms of like communicate. Like I mean, everybody talks to stuff all the time and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that, and sometimes it helps with concentration, which then in turn makes you better at whatever you're doing. So it's like it's almost this very mystified version of
Yeah.
that in a way. But
And I have thought about it before, but I think even, technology has a connection with the Force in Star Wars. I mean, how else would you explain Anakin's ability to speak binary? Like, which was a very good deleted scene, which I recommend everyone looks up.
right.
Very funny. But, like,
Oh, the one in the elevator. What?
yes.
Yeah.
He said beep boop, not boop beep.
Right. all the outtakes of Hayden and
It's so
Ewan
great.
make me just so nostalgic, and I'm just so happy when I see people being happy with
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars. Like I don't know, it helps me knowing that people had a good time.
Yeah.
That's what I don't love about all the crazy discourse that can happen sometimes because I'm like, guys, just back off.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy stuff. Come on, like goodness gracious.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I love the showdown with the Tie Fighter. I thought that was
It's so
like
cool.
the effects, man. Like all of the ship effects to this point have been so great, but simple. This was incredible. And we kind of had a moment where we were talking about how like this is the culmination of everything. Every
Yeah.
good thing that's happened in every other episode is in these two episodes all the time. Like
Yeah.
great effects, great acting, great set, great, like everything's been pumped into these two episodes. These two episodes are pure what's the big deal with Mando?
Yeah.
Like these two episodes, like everything that's good about this show is here.
Yeah.
Music dynamic as well, because there's so many. You go from such actiony renditions of the theme to very nostalgic and soft ones, but you also go into very like when he has the vision or not the vision, the flashback, like
Yeah.
the electric guitar
It's so
in
cool.
Star Wars when Death Watch shows up. Like that's so freaking metal, and it's just so great because you'd better not put violins in the Mandalorian theme. Like,
No.
goodness gracious. And I mean Mandalorian people. So like, no, when they come riding in on jetpacks and shooting up droids and saving the town, that's electric guitar moment,
Oh,
baby. Like,
yeah.
oh my gosh. Which is why it's won Emmys and everything. It's so great.
Yeah.
Um, it has so much packed in here. So, but and yes, it's arguably easy to take down a tie. Um,
They have, like, pretty easy targets.
Well, my thing, yeah, I mean, my thing is, if they hadn't been able, if he didn't have the jetpack and hadn't been able to get to it, nothing would have
Oh,
happened.
no. He would have been screwed.
But I mean, once you're there, it's kind of easy. A couple well placed bombs, and I just love just I love the moment. We don't get much of Gideon,
No.
honestly. Kind of sad, but I know we'll get more, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
What we do get is fantastic.
Sure, yeah. When I love the moment when Mando places the bombs and then ditches. I don't know why, but I love the reaction. They're just very. I don't know if it's just
Hmm.
seeing someone who's just so used to getting their way and scaring people into doing what he says, or just used to mopping up problems.
Oh yeah.
But the genuine, just like
I can't believe you just did
not
that.
allowed. Like it's like when Goku kills Frieza, and it's just like no, or not Frieza, Cell. When he's like, no, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
How'd
I'm
you do that?
perfect. Right? Like it's like this does not compute, and it's like all of that's communicated in like 2 seconds of like just no. Um, I don't know. It's a thing I like, and I also just like that it's just that
Yeah.
that done. It's just and it crashes.
Yeah.
It's over.
It crashes. They get on the plane. Baby Yoda has a
Yeah,
necklace.
I mean they have a cute like yeah. I mean
It's very
like
sweet.
yeah yeah. I mean it's the all right onward
Off
to the
into the
next night
stars.
because the armorer gave him the mission of like which the dialogue of course it shows up in the season 2 trailer which is a great comeback to it of in terms of teasing Mandalore the Great fought this wizard race of Jedi and like
Hmm.
oh so clearly
Yeah.
that's playing into what is happening in season 2. He's trying to I guess find Jedi.
And I really, 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 really want Tarvezla to be mentioned.
I yeah, well, and that's why I want more Mandalore lore, because I want more of it because we still only have pieces.
Exactly.
The most we have only begins in the Clone Wars, begins in what I'd say is like the Mandalorian Renaissance. That's a microphone.
There's one there. We're not
Yeah,
used to them sticking out of the area.
right. Um, so like it's this very different period. That's not all of Mandalore. That's just
Yeah.
what it's become. And then everything devolves.
Yeah.
Like what it is now is in no way what it was. And so we need to get some pieces filled in. I don't want it all here because not everything deserves to happen here.
Yeah.
Certain things need its own area. But anyway, yeah, I really hope we get more.
Yeah. And then to tie in Mandalore lore, Mandalore lore,
Yes.
you get the point where Moff Gideon goes from a good villain to a threat,
Well, it's this
like a
idea of
capital
like
TH threat.
you had my attention, but now, or
Yeah,
like I
you
was in
had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
right because clearly
Like,
there's even more going on.
yeah, because he has the freaking dark saber. How did he get the dark saber?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean,
How?
I haven't seen the rest of Rebels, so I don't
Well, I mean, it
know.
ends where, like, it doesn't end there, obviously, but it definitely doesn't end there. So clearly, some things have happened between points,
Yeah,
and that's the stuff I'm talking about. That's the stuff we've got to that we need
yeah,
filled in. So that's season 1. Obviously, season 2 is around the corner. It is
yeah.
upon us. Um,
It's creeping up our backs.
yeah, very excited. And again, the finale obviously sets up a lot of things. We know he's hunting Jedi for the sake of hopefully maybe passing on the kid, but is he going to be able to do that when that comes up? Is he going to be able to give up the kid when all of that happens?
Yeah,
You know,
and in that, I love the line of dialogue when she's talking about like, you are responsible for this child. That is until you pass him off to his own kind, or he becomes of age,
hmm
which
where
could
where I
likely
think is
be.
like the Air Bud situation where he makes the choice.
Yeah,
Which I think that's what that means in terms of
yeah,
like either he chooses to take care of himself, he chooses to stay with you, or he chooses to go
yeah.
find his own path.
And he dies in the middle of the movie, so that they have to hire a new dog. Yeah,
Wait, that happened?
that happened.
Really?
I,
Wow.
I, I think it was Airbud. I don't remember my dog movies
I
very
didn't
well.
watch many when I was growing. I watched Cats and Dogs, and
Dude,
that was it.
Homeward Bound ruined me for the rest of
Didn't
dog
care.
movies.
Old Yeller and Cats and Dogs is all you need.
Yeah, I would
You
argue
have
that
both ends of the spectrum.
you only need cats and dogs because Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot he was in it when I rewatched it a couple years ago.
Yeah,
It was one of those moments because I didn't know who Jeff Goldblum was as a youngster.
he sniffs a dog. It's pretty great.
Um, but yeah, so this sets up a lot of interesting ideas of where it's going to go. And clearly, we've only had one trailer. I think we're going to probably get one more because it's so early.
Yeah,
I think we're going to get a little bit more peek at what's going on. And obviously, Entertainment Weekly has a magazine coming out. It might be even be out now, but I'm sure some things are going to get talked about there, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, right now, we're going to bookmark the Mandalorian and come back to it at some point. Um, again, we haven't really planned for season two this season,
Yeah.
this year, but maybe 2021, when things calm down and our cat shuts up, we'll be able to talk about that and have fun.
Here's the thing about Piglet. I don't think she's ever gonna shut up.
Well,
Even
when she takes the
after
big nap, she will.
even after the big nap, I think she's gonna haunt
We're just gonna
us.
hear her
We'll just
wailing in the house.
be like recording a podcast, and all of a sudden,
Right.
Piglet, is
We have
that
a
you?
yeah. So she'll stay with us forever.
Yeah.
Um, we already thanked them because they bought us nice new fancy equipment, but we're going to thank them again. Our patrons, Doug, Jim, Rebecca, you guys are awesome. Anyone who wants to can check out our Patreon. It's always in a link below, whether this is on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you enjoy it on.
Yeah.
We're not fancy and amazing. It's not give us money and get all millions of benefits and everything. We wish we were that cool because it would make way more sense for you to give us money. But
Yeah.
essentially, it's based on if you like us and think we deserve it. We're simple. I mean, we're a homegrown podcast. We're not huge, so we don't.
Farm to table.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot. But if you want to give to it and support it because you like it and it's awesome, and if you're awesome, then you can always check that out. Obviously, it goes somewhere. It does something for the show. And so anyone who enjoys what we're doing now in terms of quality and everything like that can thank Doug, Jim, and Rebecca as well.
Yeah.
Um, be sure to check out our friends at the Red5 Network. They have great podcasts. They have podcasts without cats.
Well, Force Losers podcast, they have cats.
Yeah, well, I doubt they're this annoying.
I don't know.
But yeah, if you want to check out so many great other people, maybe even better people than us, we highly recommend you check out red5network.com. Um, just a slew of awesome casts and people there for you to enjoy and fill your ears with, and occasionally eyes. Uh, and also, if you're into games or into any gaming franchise, anything from Final Fantasy to Halo to Star Wars to anything. Game Infinite is a place, it's a kind of one stop shop of awesome game stuff. Jesse over at Game Infinite shares all kinds of great stuff, and we work with Jesse to share all kinds of great Star Wars stuff
Yeah.
over on Instagram. So check out Game Infinite, check out Star Wars Infinite over on Instagram and Twitter if you want to stay connected for all of that stuff, and just another way to support awesome people. I'm thankful for Star Wars Infinite because wow, we get to see so many amazing cosplays and art. We just bought an art piece from someone we've come to know from Star Wars Infinite, and
Yeah.
so absolutely love that. So check that out as well. I don't think there's anything else except to appease the cat god that dominates our lives. Please give to our Patreon so that we can move out and get our
Appease the
own
cat.
place. If we pay her off, we will get our child back and can live in peace. But anyway,
She's got the dog.
yeah. She's got boba. That's why it's been quiet up till now.
Up until
But
now.
anyway, no, so sorry this episode was out late whenever it does happen to get out, but thank you guys for being patient and looking forward. We're talking more Halo soon, and we also got Rebels coming up. We're getting close to the season 2 finale, which, if you don't know, is a big deal. I can't wait to talk about that. So, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff wherever this is being consumed by you and your face. And until next time, I've been your herd leader, John Wayne.
I've been your herd mom, Megan.
May the force be with you. Bye bye.